Well, welcome into My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue. My name is Landon. Welcome to this Friday edition of the show. Man, I'm very, very excited today. We have such a great episode as the host of the Stomp the Bus podcast. Arizona State podcast host Mark Harris stops by to tell us about Arizona State and also to kind of talk about the matchup between Arizona State and Mississippi State September 6th. It was announced that this is going to be the first game where the LED lights are going to be up in Davis Wade. So whether that gives them an advantage or not, I'm not sure, but I think it'll at least get people in the stadium. So we talked with Mark about that. And obviously there's, this team in Arizona State is not a team we saw making the playoff last season whenever these teams matched up. And they just went on a run. And honestly, we talk about it in this episode, but Kenny Dillingham has really, really shown a blueprint, I think, for Mississippi State fans want in a coach and the ability to just turn things around. And really, really excited to kind of get into that with him. I think Dillingham is going to be, I think he is such a phenomenal coach. And I think he's going to, when it's all said and done here in the next couple of years, he's going to be regarded as a top 10 coach, top 15 coach in the nation. If he's not already at the top 15 level, he's so talented. And he showed that ability to flip a team so quick. But very, very excited to get into that. Cam Scattaboo is gone from Arizona State. Praise the Lord. But there's a really, really good running back that Arizona State replaced him with that had an unbelievable season last year that they got back in the portal. So stay tuned for that, man. A lot of really good stuff on the way. But first, I want to let you know that this episode is presented by our presenting sponsor, Heath Riles Barbecue. Heath Riles Barbecue is home to award-winning rubs, seasonings, glazes, injections, marinades. It's created by 2025 Memphis in May grand champion and 81-time grand champion Heath Riles. And here's the deal. His products are trusted by pit masters, backyard cooks alike for great flavor and winning results. You can shop their full lineup at heathrilesbarbecue.com. Also, you can find his stuff in 15,000 retailers nationwide. I used his sweet barbecue rub on some smoked cream cheese this week and made it for my in-laws. And look, you always want to be in good shape with the in-laws, right? Like, look, especially if I took their only daughter, took their only child. For goodness sake, I can at least make them some barbecue. And Heath Riles hooked us up, man. Sweet barbecue rub is so, so good. And here's the deal. You can get all of your Heath Riles products at his website, heathrilesbarbecue.com. And we'll give you 10% off just for being a listener to the show. Just type in on the promo code DAWGS10, DAWGS10 for 10% off each and every time. Today, tomorrow, the next day. Very, very thankful for Heath Riles Barbecue. Also, hey, do you like my hat? I mean, you don't only see it from this angle, but man, Hovey Dry Goods is the place to go for amazing hats. If you're looking for your new favorite Mississippi State hat, look no further. Hovey hats are created. They're high quality headwear that will have your friends asking about them. And look, I'm not a super desirable guy to look at, but people like my hats. I have a ton of them. And you can take a look at their collection of Mississippi State hats at HoveyDryGoods.com, HOVI drygoods.com. You see the logo there on your screen. Hovey offers limited edition hats in small batches, bringing a fresh look to some of your favorite teams. So go grab your new favorite hat at HoveyDryGoods.com. You will not regret that you did. Also, want to thank our caffeine sponsor, ARPA's. ARPA's Coffee Bar is located in the heart of the Cotton District in Starkville. Look, man, if you've been to ARPA's, you get it. If you've never been, you've got to go. Venezuelan coffee shop, Venezuelan restaurant, great food, great drinks, honestly, just great vibes. It's so much fun at ARPA's, sitting outside, kind of enjoying the ambience of the Cotton District, sitting inside, enjoying just the time. Either way, you're going to get delicious food, great prices. And you know what? We'll make the prices even better for you. 15% off whenever you mention you love the MyDawgsPod discount. They'll give you 15% off today, tomorrow, the next day. And love ARPA's. And look, very excited about today's episode. Very excited about you guys being able to hear from Mark. And let's go ahead and get into this episode with Mark Harris. The Stomp the Bus podcast. It's Mark Harris. He hosts Arizona State podcast. It's called Stomp the Bus, and they're part of the college huddle. And Mark, last year, before our show joined MPW Digital, you and I actually got to talk about this exact same thing we're doing now last season. And who would have known all the things that would have happened with Arizona State football and making the playoff and Dillingham really establishing himself to me as a top 10, top 15 coach in the nation, and certainly one that is up on the rise. Man, what is, for Mississippi State fans that are listening to this, maybe who know about last season's team, but are now coming into this year and don't have the same knowledge. Man, what is it like? What is the fan base feeling going in from last season going into the year as opposed to this season starting off?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, and I hope you end up being right about Dillingham being a top 10 to 15 coach in the game. He's going to need to do it a little bit longer than this past year, but fan base is feeling great. I mean, it's probably the most kind of unified and just positive vibes of the fan base in my I started ASU in 2014. So, 11 years, give or take, of kind of really following the Sun Devils. It's definitely everyone just kind of being on a positive same page, really in a big way. And NIL is in a much better place than it used to be. And the evidence of that is they didn't lose any notable players with respect to the guys who transferred. Basically, all the guys who transferred this offseason were backups. So it's kind of it's the transfer portal working in the way that fans, like it to work. And who knows how long that's going to last for ASU? Like, maybe this is just a special group of guys, but for at least this year, it's fan base is in really good vibes. Season ticket renewals have been, doing great. And I saw on Twitter that they had to make more of these like premium seating things because more people are getting involved. And, I'm originally from Washington State, and I can see this from outside, but Phoenix, it is a front running type town. It's very similar to like Southern California sports fans, where if you win, people really show up. And last year was really big in that, obviously, winning 10 games was just a big step. And then obviously winning the Big 12 and not looking like they didn't belong against Texas. And, you could say they should have won, you could say whatever, but like, it was a double overtime game, a coin flip 50-50 game. And so the fan base is feeling good. There is a tinge of anxiousness because there's real expectations on this team. And so that's there is like, okay, what could go wrong type of deal. But I would rather be in this position than the alternative of like, oh, let's hope we can make a bowl game or something. So good vibes all around in Tempe, or at least when the weather cools down anyway.
Well, and I want us to stick with Dillingham because Mississippi State is in a position where they're going into year number 2 of Jeff Lebby being the head coach, and really he's got a very big task at hand. Last season was a real struggle, and I think a lot of people look at what Coach Dillingham has done at Arizona State as a blueprint that it is possible in this era of the transfer portal to flip a roster. And obviously, if you're very, very competent to be able to coach the players up and get them used to your culture, and it's a good culture, by the way. I mean, there's such thing as bad culture and good culture. It seems like Arizona State has a really good culture.
Yeah.
What is it exactly? Because again, I really do think that the Mississippi State fans are interested to know what is it exactly about Coach Dillingham that has made him be able to flip things so quickly in an era to where 5-6 years ago it was pretty consistent to let people take 2-3 years to get ready to go, 4 years to get their own players. And he's shown, man, you can do it very quickly.
Yeah. So the number one thing I would say is just energy. He really exudes energy, and he's fine with sleeping like 4-hour nights to get the job done. And you can tell this team was pretty prepared. You could just kind of like, the penalties weren't a big issue. They just kind of seemed crisp. And obviously it helps when, you have some really good players helping out, but they never really got blown out in any game. And, when you lose 3 games, obviously that's part of it. But even sometimes good teams just have a game where they're completely eyes aren't on the road type of deal. And I think that translates with his energy, because he has the energy to connect to players, just have an energetic presence, and then have the extra energy over to game plan well and just do all the other tasks needed to run a program. I think a secondary thing is, I'm just going to say, like, talent acquisition. Like, when they acquired Scadaboo out of the transfer portal, like, he was an FCS guy from Sacramento State. Now, he did have great numbers at Sacramento State, but it's not like all these teams were banging down the door for him, and it proved to be a fantastic addition. Sam Levitt, obviously, like, Dillingham recruited him a bit when he was at Florida State out of high school. Go get Sam Levitt from Michigan State. There's a little bit of bumpiness in the road, but after that, like, once he clicked, and this team really started to soar after that, even overcoming a few games in like early November when one UCF game Scadaboo wasn't playing, and then another at Kansas State where Scadaboo just was kind of held in check and wasn't that effective, and Levitt still kind of led the way there. So, and then you have Jordan Tyson, betting on him after an injury at Colorado. You find some really good players on defense, right? Like a Keyshawn Elliott linebacker, like, he was at New Mexico State. Like, no one really knew who he was, and he was a great addition from New Mexico State. Another New Mexico State guy, safety Miles Rouser, defensive lineman Clayton Smith and Prince Dorba were guys. Smith was at Oklahoma, Dorba was at Texas, and these are guys, maybe not like a Colin Simmons, like, total blue chip type pass rusher. Like, there are only so many of those guys on earth, right? But they're really good college defensive ends, and sometimes when you get those guys transferring down from a blue blood, like, you don't know, like, can they play, or are they just beaten out by some other players? And so there's a lot of examples of that. Guys on the offensive line, right tackle Maxi Inachor and right guard Kyle Scott are both JUCO guys. Like, Mississippi State, I'm sure, is taking a lot of JUCO guys. Like, they are really hit or miss. There's a whole bunch of other guys I'm probably not even mentioning, but I think talent acquisition has to be part of that. And I would also say on the coaching staff, like, Brian Ward is a really good defensive coordinator. I remember when Dillingham brought him in for his first year, and he said that he played against Brian Ward when Ward was at Washington State, and his defense really kind of mucked up the Oregon offense. And so that was the reason why Dillingham hired him. It also helped that Ward is from Glendale and has an Arizona background. And then he kind of took a risk on Marcus Arroyo, whose stock wasn't super high after getting let go as a head coach at UNLV. And I mean, Arroyo was a fantastic offensive coordinator, had a great bond with Sam Levitt. You could tell he sequenced plays well. I think that's something that's important. And he just instilled a lot of confidence in the guys and overall ran a crisp operation. So I'd say energy, talent acquisition. And I'd say a third thing is just kind of knowing ASU as a school. I think a lot of times from the outside looking in, people think of ASU as like it's thrown around so often, the sleeping giant. Like, people say it about North Carolina too. And there's a few other schools. And there's a reason why, like, I don't want to be too like Debbie Downer here, but like there's a reason why these sleeping giants don't like just be awesome immediately. Like, there are some unseen roadblocks that kind of get in the way. And like for ASU, like, the benefit of being in a metro market like Phoenix has its pluses, right? Like, you can get kids to campus really easily. It's an attractive place to go. Like, it's not like there aren't huge barriers to getting kids in. There's also a ton of distractions. There, like, some kids like cannot handle all like Old Town Scottsdale, right nearby. Like, and I think you kind of see it with like some kids who like go to Miami instead of going to Alabama. If they're like, and Miami's kind of turned it around now, but like there was, 20 years of them not turning it around, and like, you want to make sure you have kids that aren't like uberly focused on the external stuff, because then you're not going to be as productive. And so, and the fan base can just go in and out, and Like ASU is never going to have a Nebraska like fan base where it's like they have like a consecutive sellout streak of something crazy like that's not going to happen at ASU. And I think that Dillingham, like, he understands those issues. He will he will still like fight against it, but and some of those issues are much lessened now after you have a fantastic 11-win season and playing the college football playoff and all this but there is like a thing, like if ASU goes 7-5 this year, then a lot of those issues are going to creep back in. And so Dillingham understanding what this place actually is and using it to his benefit, and just kind of knowing what the pitfalls are instead of coming here and being surprised by the pitfalls and having to deal with all that. He also has a ton of connections within the Arizona high school coaching community. The Arizona recruiting hasn't quite been as good as it could be, but they are taking some different steps to correct that, at least. And there's a acknowledgement that things can be better and different strategies, but they've been attacking Texas like crazy. I don't have their class pulled up. I think of like the 15 commits they have, 8 are from Texas. And so, there's an argument that, you're getting a higher caliber of player on average. I don't know. It's kind of tough to follow recruiting these days because it's like, who knows how long these guys are going to stay. You can just bring in some other player to start over them anyway. So like, it's definitely less important than it was, but it still is obviously important. So I would say those kind of 3 things are why he's been able to succeed so far.
That's good. Yeah. Well, and Mississippi State fans last season were not familiar with Cam Scatabo, and they became familiar incredibly quick. And I do know that that's one thing that State fans are looking forward to, or have to be looking forward to, is not facing him. However, the difficult times are not finished when it comes to running backs at Arizona State. And forgive me in my pronunciation, but Kanye Udo, how do you know how to pronounce his last name?
I think you got it. Udo. I think, yeah, Udo.
Over 1,100 rushing yards last season at Army, 6.2 yards per carry, 625 yards per contact. And Army's offense, like, everybody knows he's going to get the ball, and they could not stop him. He's the newest running back at Arizona State. Is he the main guy that you would say State fans need to be aware of, or is there someone else in the portal that's come in? Like, is he the main one, or is there somebody else?
So, yeah, no one in the portal. Definitely, I would imagine that he will be the main guy for ASU, but there's definitely some other guys in that backfield that will contribute a lot. Running back Kyson Brown, he was 3rd on the team in rushing, 351 yards and 2 touchdowns last year. And he contributed a little bit in the passing game as well. Yeah, 189 receiving yards and a score. So he'll definitely contribute. A guy to keep an eye on is Rayleigh Brown. He only had 42 rushing yards last year, no touchdowns. He didn't get to play a lot because he was dealing with a pretty significant hamstring injury. And so with the success of Scatabo and Kyson Brown doing an admirable job as a backup, like, there was no reason to like rush Rayleigh Brown back in with how good the running game was going. And if like that Kansas game that ASU played, Rayleigh Brown was a big part of that game, or not big, but he was a notable player in how ASU was running the ball. And so those 3 guys should get some run. And then another guy, I don't know how much he'll contribute this year, but of all, maybe not all these guys, but Jason Brown Jr., he only played in the Wyoming game last year, had 4 rushes for 33 yards, is talked about like a kind of a guy who's done well in the weight room, and was like a 4-star recruit in the 2025 class, I want to say. So he might be involved as well, but I would imagine it will be Udo, Kyson Brown, and Rayleigh Brown as the main guys there, and then you have Levitt's rushing ability as well. And I mean, the thing that Mississippi State like with how much they ran the ball against the Bulldogs last year with Scadaboo, like it's not going to be that same type of attack when they play in Starkville this year. I mean, it's just going to be a little bit more of a passing team, maybe not like overall a passing team, but more than it was last year against Mississippi State, just because Levitt was still very green at that point. And I honestly think like I don't have he only threw for like 70 yards and completed like 50% of his passes. He was dirting some throws in the second half. And with how much they ran the ball with Scadaboo, like he got out of rhythm as well. And so luckily it didn't come back to bite ASU in that game, but it's part of the reason why Mississippi State was able to kind of, I don't want to say launch a comeback, but make the game closer than it probably needed to be with just how the game played out on a down-to-down basis. So, yeah, Scadaboo will be gone, but I think that ASU will have more ways, more varied ways to attack the defense.
Well, when we come back from our break, we're going to get Mark's prediction of our way too early prediction series. And, you know, this is, as I mentioned in the opening of the show, this is a series we do where every single opponent Mississippi State has on their schedule, we get to hear from someone that covers the team, knows a lot about the team. And so always excited to hear these way too early predictions on what we think will happen there on September 6th. So we'll be right back after these messages from MPW Digital. You're listening to My Dogs Pod on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue.
All MPW Digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly.
Well, you know, Arizona State and Mississippi State is going to be a great game. And this season for Jeff Lebby's a big one, man. He does really well. He might earn an extension. He might even get a pay raise. He might even become rich. But what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones financial advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Welcome back. All right, Mark. So let's go to September 6th. It's nighttime. It's Starkville. Actually, let's go to September 7th. It's the day after. The Starkville Daily News, and on the headline it says Arizona State beats Mississippi State. what would those reasons be as we stand here in June, way too early? What would you think the reasons would be?
Yeah, so I would say I think Sam Levitt just plays a good game. Probably they probably won't ask him to throw 40 times per game, but I expect him to be involved in the offense early and often, and connect with Jordan Tyson really well. I don't think there was much of a connection in that game against Mississippi State last year, but through the back half of the season, I mean, it was almost automatic. And it's a real shame that Tyson was injured at the end of the year, because it would have been cool for a national audience to see him in the Big 12 championship game, and then obviously the Peach Bowl against Texas. And he's, for as much draft buzz as Levitt is getting, Jordan Tyson it seems very likely to be a first-round pick, and likely in the top half of the first round. And there's a lot of people out there who think that he's the best. If you take out Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State and you take out Ryan Williams at Alabama, then it's Jordan Tyson left as the best receiver in the country. And and there's a lot of evidence to support that. So he's a receiver that's like, he won ASU some games, like the UCF game in particular. Like, he was outstanding in that game. Kansas State, he was incredible. So I think his name will be involved. We mentioned the running backs. And then there's some other secondary options in the passing game. Tight end Shimon Mateer was a big contributor last year. He'll be featured in some underneath routes. And Alabama transfer wide receiver Jaron Hamilton made a splash in spring ball. We'll see how that translates onto the games. You never really know, but he's got the recruiting pedigree and just the overall skills to really shine as defenses, shift their coverage towards Tyson. So and the offensive line returns 4 out of 5 starters too. And so, like, there's on paper, like, everything, is it all changes, once the ball is snapped on the grass. But on paper, like, the offense has a lot of things going for it. And the defense, it's kind of the same thing. Like, they return 10 out of 11 starters. Most of their secondary is back, and their defensive line drew rave reviews in spring ball. And so I think Mississippi State will get its yards, and it'll get some points against ASU's defense. But I think that ASU and Brian Ward in particular, like, he's seen a lot of air raid concepts before, right? And so it's not like with the air raid, like, you're going to give up some yards. You're going to give up some ASU is not going to, like, shut out Mississippi State or anything like that. Like, they'll probably give up, like, at least 20 points when it's all said and done. But I think that they'll get enough stops against the MSU to kind of maintain reasonable control of the game. But I mean, who knows? Like, it is going to be, with the cowbells banging, it's going to be a late night or relatively late night game. It's SEC, it's still an SEC road game. And it'll be a big test for a lot of these guys too. Like, just because you did well in 2024 doesn't mean you're going to do well in 2025. So there's a lot there. And I believe you guys got a really good running back in Fluff Bothwell from South Alabama. And so that's a different element of the offense that I'm sure Lebby will try to use in that game, obviously. And then you guys are still rolling with Chapin as the starter. Okay. I mean, he's experienced, right? Like, he's seen it all. And these guys are going to want revenge after last year, right? Like, that's human nature. So it's not going to be an easy game. I will say I am glad it's a night game, just because, like, if that game's kicking off at like 2:30 in the afternoon or something in the, humid heat of Mississippi, like, that's a different animal than even being in Tempe, where it's also hot. And so I think kicking off at night, it at least gives you a little bit of relief from that. And I think ASU will be able to handle the conditions better than, like, a team coming from the Midwest or the Pacific Northwest or something. So,
yeah, I agree. And it's funny, you were talking about it being a night game. So it's the first game for Mississippi State in Starkville of the season. And then they just announced yesterday the LED lights, State just got LED lights, and that'll be the first time they get to try them out. So even if Mississippi State's getting beaten by several touchdowns, they'll get to enjoy some sort of flashing lights. That's the good part of it. On the flip
I
side,
don't want to get too confident. Like I don't want to get too like this is going to be a tough game for ASU. I think. Like I know that like how it's expected to go, but like they play the games for a reason, So.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how things go. And the flip side of the question, Mississippi State beats Arizona State because what would you say that reason would be as we finish and close out?
Yeah, I would say offense. Second game of the year, the offense isn't clicking the way people expect it to. The running game isn't quite as productive or crisp as it was last year, and really struggles in the kind of a road environment. Again, an experienced quarterback, a more two-dimensional MSU offense with Bothwell, and throwing some turnovers as well, right? Turnovers, and that's the easy answer. But like, you have a few fumbles and a pick, and then all of a sudden the game changes. So I would go clunky offense, defense kind of just getting worn out, and turnovers.
It'll be interesting, man. September the 6th, Mississippi State and Arizona State, first night game in Starkville. Just really, really excited just to get this season kicked off, man. Being in June and July, baseball's fun, but there's nothing like being able to welcome football into the season. So we'll see if we can get Mark back on maybe the week of the game to be able to kind of preview that and kind of see how these teams are looking after their very first week. So we sure do appreciate Mark for stopping by.